bottle there. So Tasty Morsel, it is an Ardnamurchan. We've been lucky enough to see some Ardnamurchans from the Scotch Malt Whisky Society over the past 2 or 3 years. This is 149.4. And it was part of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society's New Wave series, which was showcasing newer distilleries or new distilleries being reinvigorated by some master distillers along the way. This one's 61.6% alcohol, matured entirely in a first fill PX sherry butt. And if I remember correctly, this is the unpeated side of Ardnamurchan. It's not peated, although we have seen some peated Ardnamurchans from the Society from the 9th of July 2016. And we have, I think, 7 bottles of this remaining. And it is actually on sale. I think it's about 20% off, although my math is hazy. It is $146.24 on sale, so you can take a look at that, give it a nose, and see if it's worth purchasing before we dive into the rest of the round. Save some if you want. We probably won't talk about it directly beyond this, but should be a fun dram to try again. What do you guys think?
It's definitely got this like tarriness to it, but it's still like very juicy. You get the like toasty oak on the palate, which is nice.
Yeah, sorry about being quiet there. I'll try not to lean back too far. It's interesting. We were talking about another distillery in a tasting that we did last night in the Blinded by Scotch tasting that Harmony and I did, having this cheesiness to it. And it was Brook / Port Charlotte that we were talking about then. This one, or Ardnamurchan in general, is another distillery that tends to go along those cheesy lines and tends to have, as Harmony pointed out earlier, a really big umami note to it, something savory in it. So hopefully you guys enjoy the bonus dram. Keep me posted. Let me know if there are any other issues with my volume here. I haven't changed anything on my setup since last night, so hopefully it's about the same. But hopefully you guys are ready for the rest of the Outturn. Take a look on our website. We do have a few new tastings coming up. I won't share my screen for that, but there's a Cadenhead tasting coming up in store, a couple more in-store tastings near the end of November as well, including Gordon MacPhail with Richard Urquhart and Millstone with Patrick Van Sweetum, which will be the launch of our new Millstone cask, which should be coming soon, which we're really excited about. Not a rye this time around, although we would take a rye again from them in a heartbeat. But yeah, that and some other tastings, virtual and otherwise, have just been launched on our website. So take a look at that. Link is in the chat here for you guys. And let's talk the October Outturn. So just in case, I think most of you know the deal with this, and I'm going to do the spiel anyways because I do it every single time. But we run through this tasting twice when it comes to the Outturn tastings. We are looking at 7 drams, not including the bonus dram. Harmony and I set the order for this one, and we are tasting through everything blind. You get the PDF file that you can browse around along with it, and we can talk about that as we go along the Society's own tasting notes. Please give your own tasting notes in the chat as we're going through as well. It's always fun to discuss these. And save some because we will go through it a second time when we reveal all. So keep some in your glass. We'll go through the tasting twice. On the reveal, you'll get to find out how expensive that favorite bottle is, which distillery it comes from, how old that bottle is, and so on and so forth. All that missing information. But for now, let's put the bonus dram aside. Maybe go back to that later at the end for a nightcap. But let's go into number 1, which is called Fresh, Bright, and Charming. Did I get the whole name in there on that?
You get the whole Disney name in on that. Yeah.
That's right.
This is like, it just hits you with this like really pretty vanilla note and like almost like pancakes. A nice vanilla extract in there. Yeah,
definitely some big vanilla notes on there. little bit creamy along with that on the nose,
Yeah.
almost going into like a custard or even a vanilla yogurt.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah,
Like honey.
yeah,
Definitely
honey.
getting like a nice sweetness of honey.
Yeah, a little bit of apples and pears for me. Just a touch of citrus in there.
Yeah, there's a little bit of citrus and a little bit of like cream cheese kind of
Ooh.
sweetness in here.
Hmm. Yeah, almost leaning into like a light cheesecake.
Yeah. Mhm.
Mm.
Mm.
A little bit of heat even after the bonus dram that we started with there, which was higher ABV. A little bit of spice, a little bit of grassiness,
Mhm.
touch oily, and still has some nice creaminess.
It just makes me salivate. It just like
Yeah.
wrapped my tongue in this really happy, um, just bright, vibrant juiciness. I mean, you
Hmm.
definitely do like up front get spices. And that grassy note that you had mentioned is there for me as well, but the finish is all stone fruit. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
really
it still
lovely.
goes into like a light peach note, lots of pears for me, a little bit of golden delicious apples.
Oh,
Um, Society does mention mascarpone cheese on this, so going along with that cream cheese note that you were mentioning, that makes sense. And they mentioned lemon sorbet, which I can see maybe a dash of that on there, almost into more of a lychee driven ice cream or sorbet on the palate.
yeah. It's surprising up front initially, you can feel that high alcohol presence, but it seems to dissipate really quickly.
Hmm.
Uh, it doesn't feel hot on the end, which often that's what happens to me with high ABVs. You feel it at the end more than at the front, but it's all at the front for me, and the finish is just really, fresh, bright, and charming.
Well, Tyler is already putting his name on the bottle. Little does he know this is the $500 dram in the lineup. But
Absolutely.
um,
Yeah.
hopefully,
No Galaxies.
Tyler, we're holding you to that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter at this point. That I'm assuming your check's in the mail. I'm just gonna add a few drops of water before we go on, just to see if that changes this time around. You guys don't have to if you don't want to, but
I
I
will
do
join
not
you.
mind. Little bit of more of a wood note coming out. Still pretty soft on the wood notes. Like the oak is there, but it's not like this big spicy presence at all.
It smells more floral to me with
Hmm.
some water.
Yeah, it's like going into flowers pressed in a leather brown book.
It's still cheesy to me a little
Hmm.
bit. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's the lingering previous dram, but
Yeah, there is a bit of that still that cream cheese note.
hmm. Oh, the finish is more peppery. Um, and
Yeah,
woody. A little bit of like wet wood, like old wet wood is what
yeah.
it kind of tastes like to me. Um,
Uh, yeah, a touch of nuttiness there. Like thinking of
mhm.
mascarpone, it reminded me of if you go to uh, everybody here knows Lena's, probably the Italian market. Used to be only on 16th when I was younger. We actually used to go to Lena's when we traveled to Calgary from our Creston, BC to visit relatives up here. But there's a Lena's down by my neighborhood now on 130th down here, and they do and some other Italian markets do I can't remember the cream cheese or mascarpone cheese in a pastry roll. And then they have
Cannolis.
yeah, it's not kind of like that. And then yeah, cannoli, and then dusted with well, not even dusted, just like drowned in crushed up pistachio nuts. Has
Yeah,
that pistachio nut note to it as well
it
with
does
that
have a
right now.
dryness. Yeah, for
Hmm.
sure. That's a cool note.
Yeah. Well, that's good starter. Let's
That's a really
go
nice
into
starter.
something darker. This the Fresh Bright and Charming, if you have your glasses lined up like I do, it's one of only two lighter style looking drams here. Everything else seems to go into this slight orange, slightly tan look to it. So let's go into the tan with the Muscat Gravy, which is next up.
Oh, see, and just on the color, I would have been like, oh, this is sherried. And then you say Muscat
Yeah.
Gravy, and
Mhm.
I prepare myself. Uh,
Yeah, so this guy started his life in an ex-bourbon barrel. Final cask was a first fill Muscat of Setúbal, Barrique. Setúbal, I'm assuming that is
like the
French, but I
location.
could be wrong. Yeah.
It
Distilled
smells
on the
like,
14th of May. Mhm.
sorry, yeah. Uh, Also 59.9%. To me, this immediately smelled like a fresh pack of scented markers.
Oh yeah.
Not like a black marker, like the smelly packs that you'd get as kids.
Mhm. Yeah, it does almost go into those aromatized markers, coloring
Hmm.
markers, notes to it. Kind of somewhere
Yeah,
between grape and lemon.
absolutely. I was gonna say
Yeah.
grape. Yeah. But
There's
there's also
also
the,
like a pea shoots note to it on the nose, something like slightly green and growing in the garden.
yeah, that's a good note. There's, yeah, you definitely, for me, it's like immediately, it's like juicy varnish, that ink smell. But there's also like a hint of like cognac like note in here, like that Muscat
Mhm.
barrel's really showing on the nose.
So doing a quick
Ah,
Google search on it, and we don't have any Jeff on the line here. Maybe that's why nobody's called me on it yet. But I looked up Muscat Setúbal or Setúbal, and Setúbal, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, which I'm sure I'm not, is in Portugal. And it looks like it's usually Muscatel that they use. Muscat and Muscatel aren't necessarily the same grape, but it looks like they do both there. Muscat as a grape genus is there's like 1,000 plus sub varieties of Muscat, if I remember correctly. But
wow.
everybody typically knows Muscat for being this sort of sweeter, fruitier white wine, typically used in dessert wines or in Moscato d'Asti, the light, bubbly, low alcohol style wine from Italy.
Mm.
But this is more of a dessert style wine. I think they make with this one. Still getting that pea shoots note to it.
Yeah, there's a little chocolate in here for me. And
Nice.
like, yeah, pea shoots is actually a really good note. There's also like a note, it reminds me of my dad's like suitcase when he carried a
Nice.
suitcase.
There's it's probably the French oak coming through along with the wine, but there's just a slight, like not super herbaceous, but almost going into like a bell pepper note in
Mm.
there as well.
It's very fruity.
Very
Um,
fruity, and it noses like it'll go sweet too.
yeah, Mike got said that he has maple syrup a little bit on the palate of this, which I
Mm,
can absolutely see. There's a nice kind of like toffee sugar or brown sugar note in there.
mhm.
I think that greens note comes through a little bit
It
on the
does.
palate for me as well. It's
Yeah.
got that vegetal kind of mid palate.
I quite like that. It does still remind me of pea shoots and style on the palate. Also even goes into like you just pick some fresh parsley for your pasta. Just the parsley itself on the palate.
Yeah, it's a little bit of
Society
ginger.
mentions ginger is a good call. Society mentions
Mhm.
dried thyme on this one and stem ginger and syrup. Fuzzy peaches. I don't know if I'd go that far with it, but it
Nah, but it does have some nice kind of candied fruit in there.
does.
It's actually really
Yeah,
lovely. I really like
I
this.
I like
Uh,
the sort of interplay between the fruitiness and the herbaceousness of it. I think they kind of balance out each other nicely.
Yeah, it's from the name Muscat Gravy, I expected it to kind of be a fattier, heavier,
Yeah,
oilier spirit. It's not, but it doesn't leave you wanting either.
yeah,
I mean, I do wish it was a little fatter, but it's still, I mean, even now I get this really long, uh, sweet kind of syrupy like finish. I did add a couple drops of water just to see what it does to the palate, but I initially was expecting something really thick and heavy.
yeah, yeah. I just added a few drops too, and I'm pretty happy with what it does on the nose. Doesn't fall apart like some dessert wine and wine cask finishes do.
The palate seems more expressive as well with
Yeah,
just 2 drops of water. I
yeah. It
get more
doesn't go. It kind of veers into a slight winey note, but not overly jarring or overly astringent. Um,
tastes like
Takes the
some
water
sort of
rather well.
whiskey cocktail you'd order at the bar.
Yeah,
It still has this like that savory note reminds me of, like a garnish they would put on like a sprig of
yeah,
thyme. But it has this like deep orange brown sugar
yeah.
thing and
It
dried
it
peaches that is really nice.
yeah. I agree. The whiskey cocktail idea is a really good concept on that one. It's you dumped some Saint Germain in there, and
Yeah.
then like you tried to counter it with just a few drops of green chartreuse uh to bring out that sort of like almost minty herbaceousness with water that it goes into. I gotta say, I like that dram. Wasn't sure what to think when I saw the wine cask or the dessert wine cask on that one, but it holds up nicely.
I'm gonna happy face this label because I really
Hmm.
like that. Hmm.
Yeah. Has it already moved closer so that you know that you liked it
Yes,
on the table?
but my
Yeah.
space is also smaller. I would turn my table, but I didn't. So I just marked the little bottle, but the bottle is close for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's put that one aside, maybe a little bit closer to us if you're like us and you like it, and let's go into number 3 of our proper dram series right now, which is called a forage into orange.
Mm, sounds familiar.
Yeah, yeah. So what do we got here? This is started its life in an ex-bourbon hogshead. Final cask was a new oak hogshead. New oak with a heavy char, number 4. Sort of like going into a virgin oak bourbon barrel, essentially, that wasn't filled with bourbon. It was filled with this whiskey. 60.1% alcohol on this one, so just still creeping up just slightly higher. 252 bottles from the Outturn 31st of May for the date. Definitely some more wood notes on the nose right up top.
I love this like sweet barley note that it's
Yeah.
offering. It's cereal, oats.
Well, and somewhere, someone in the bar you're drinking this at it's not you, but somewhere like nearby, somebody's either drinking an Amaro or something Campari based, like maybe even into what is it? Not a French 75, a Negroni, sorry. There's just
Okay.
a touch of like a bitter orange syrupy note on
Yeah.
the nose there.
Yeah.
A little bit of cedar planks there.
Definitely a lot of oak on the nose.
Hmm. Yeah, almost going into clove territory. And actually, along with that, another alcohol, Benedictine, where they use cloves in there.
Smells a touch menthol.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, it is a little bit cooling. Ooh, big dram,
yeah,
very, very chewy.
it is. It's got that orange note, that like burnt
Big
orange
time.
rind.
Yeah.
Also just oranges, like, I don't know what kind of cakes have oranges in it, but
It's almost
it's
like,
baked.
did they, when you're during your time at the Petroleum Club, were you ever nearby when one of the supervisors had to do flambe at the table?
No.
So if you're like doing a bananas Foster or something like that, and you're or a flambe where you're doing almost like a fried ice cream in it, and you're using Grand Marnier and then usually squeezing some orange in there as well.
Very
There's a lot
nice.
of that on there.
Yeah, that's cool. There's a touch of something like drier too, like a bitter chocolate
Hmm.
on there.
Yeah, if there was a like a super dark chocolate Terry's chocolate orange.
I'm sure there is.
Mhm. Does have a
Yeah,
bit
that
of a espresso note on there as well, which the society mentions.
I like the oak that it has.
Yeah,
Like it's very a very nice oak. It's like,
yeah, it's bold but gentle at the same
yeah,
time.
yeah. I think it integrates well with that kind of dark chocolate espresso note. That's like where it
Hmm.
leans into me. Um, Derek says with water that wood really comes out more.
Yeah, I'm gonna try
Or
that just
I
for
don't know
kicks.
if I need that, but I'll try it.
I do wonder if it's going to sort of divide the two casks, which water sometimes does for me, where we're going to get more of the char on the finish there. So we'll see.
Mhm.
Still says sort of goes a bit more airy and spicy on the nose with the wood.
Mhm.
Graham doing the hard work for us. He's
Yeah.
found a Terry's chocolate orange on Amazon. That's a dark chocolate.
I'm gonna click that link and minimize that for later, just I mean for science.
Mhm.
With this, it gets this really
Mhm.
nice kind of like I don't know, vanilla and cracked pepper
Yeah,
with water. Water does not hurt this. I thought with like wood really comes out with water, it would be too oaked, but it's not. It's very nice.
it's with water. The finish is almost like you've taken just your typical red rose tea, steeped it heavily, and then like dropped a piece of wood stave, charred stave in there. There, like there's just a bit of that wood in there too, but it still works. I prefer the palette without water,
I
but it
agree.
doesn't fall apart with.
No, I think with water though, you get this more of like you appreciate the sweetness of it more with a
Yeah.
little bit of water. I think without water, the sweetness is on the front palate and then it finishes with a lot of wood. For me, with
Mhm.
water, I get the wood up front, the spices, and then this like nice, easy kind of cooling fruit.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit of cinnamon coming through
Mm.
on the nose now, or even into nutmeg territory.
Cinnamon's a good note. I get also just a hint of like licorice.
Yeah.
Um, it's not a lie. It's just
Yep.
wafting.
Society, and I have never tried these, I don't think, but Society says sugar-coated fennel seeds, which would give you a little bit of a licorice note.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I was gonna say it's like I kissed someone who just ate licorice. It's just
Yeah. Yeah.
that.
Let's put that one
That's
aside.
very
Let's go
nice.
on to number four. Number four is called Musty Mulchy. Again, see, two casks in its maturity. Started in an ex-bourbon hogshead, was finished in a first fill Oloroso hogshead. Pardon me, distilled on the 5th of October, 239 bottles, dropping down to 57.4% alcohol on this guy.
Finally, goodness, bring it down a
Yeah,
little, Evan.
that's right. That's
Um,
right. Tired of this
the
near 60
name,
stuff.
yeah, the name of this musty mulchy. It's like It reminds me of like bring your kid to work day where you're
Mhm.
sitting and doing a tasting and the kid's just like bored, but you decided to include them right now. And what do we name this? I've given you all the tasting
Yeah.
notes. And then it's like,
I'm gonna jump on that because that's a good call. And the kid is bored and he's just like covered a blank sheet of paper that you got him with crayons. Like just like there's a bunch of crayon notes in this right now.
just very waxy and
Yeah,
colorful, if you can say that about smell. I'm sure
that's
there's
right.
science of it.
That's right.
Um,
Yeah,
but
it's
yeah, there's
the orange Crayola, I think is the one that he used the most there, based on the nose.
yeah, very cool.
Does have an orange note to it as well, going maybe into a touch of maple syrup territory.
This one's got a little bit more chemical and saltiness to it,
Mhm.
than I anticipated. Um,
Yeah, there's a touch of to go along with that, like and with the waxiness, like a Play-Doh note
mhm.
on it.
What are what are the nuts that she puts on the board that are white and they're salty and they taste roasted? Are they like a
Oh,
macadamia
the
nut from somewhere?
Marcona almonds.
Yes,
Yeah, good call. I love those
that's
almonds. Those
what
are
I
just
am getting.
yeah, that's the nut version of crack, in my opinion, are
I
those
took all
Marcona
of
almonds.
them home
Yeah.
after the rare and old. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I'm getting here. A little bit of like raisins as well.
Yeah, on the palate as well. That's a nice palate. Really nice
Oh,
combination of spicy and sweet with just a touch of savory in there.
mm-hmm. Oh, it is spicy. It like
Yeah,
gets you right on the tongue there up front.
yeah.
And funny, it
Um,
feels higher in ABV than the previous one.
it does. Um, it's got savory wise, and this is not, I'm not saying sulfur, but
Mm-mm.
there's a touch of like a really good sort of like mushroom soup base with some caramelized onions in it, on the palate.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting like honey
Yeah,
and raisins and
yeah. Onion, honey, and
like
raisins.
graham
Yeah,
cracker, um, like buttered graham crackers. You're making the crust and it's
yeah.
um
Yeah. Tyler's wondering if there was another food other than chocolate dip bacon at the last festival. For all intents and purposes, it's probably why everybody said the food was really good because there was chocolate dip bacon, although all the food was good.
yeah. And we
Tyler, I
even
think you just have like that's like bacon sightedness or 20 bacon vision is your issue.
especially because we hid the bacon at the far end of
That's
the
right.
table. You had to walk past
Yeah.
everything else to get it.
Mm.
I
Oh,
added
that's a
just
good dram.
it's really good. I added 2 drops of water and I regret it
Well, I
only
gotta try it just to see.
only
I think
because
it'll come
it
back
goes
together.
very green for me.
Oh,
Very vegetable garden, more yes. Uh it's more mulchy than musty. It's a
yeah.
little bit
Yeah, it
of
does. It is there's a touch of something in there like you're just emptying the bag from the lawnmower.
yeah. Also slightly, in the fall, the leaves are on the ground and it's that damp
Yeah.
morning.
Yep.
Yeah, Graham, I agree. It's like chewing on grass a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just more herbaceous that way.
Yeah. Is
But you still
with
get a lot of those. We said cocktail notes in the previous one, but I'm still kind of getting that
yeah,
orange bitter liqueur and the
with
fruit.
water it almost goes into a little bit more of a cereal note. Uh like like golden grams. I get on the nose right now.
Not Teddy Grahams.
No.
I mean, it's got a little bit of both because
Like
then
maybe a
it's
touch
a
of Teddy
graham
Grahams,
cracker.
more golden grams. It's the wafer cereal where they don't add cinnamon to it. It's just the honey.
Yeah, I agree. You get a little bit, yeah, more kind of toasted,
Yeah.
toasted cereal grains.
I can see what you're saying.
Yeah.
You mean about I get a bit more of that greenness on the palate.
Yeah.
However, again, I'm surprised where it doesn't go like just crazy astringent. There's maybe a touch more green and bitter, but it's not out of whack. It doesn't like just tear the whole thing apart. Um, I think that works really nicely.
It's really yummy. Yeah, I like that.
Mhm. Very cool.
Slightly up.
Well, we with the next dram, we are entering PETA territory a little bit earlier than we usually do. Uh, Next up is Viking toothpaste.
That is the
Uh,
worst name.
I think it's
I,
good.
like, I'm scared because the, I've never enjoyed a whiskey after brushing my teeth.
Yep. So this guy is from First Fill Ex Bourbon Barrels. That's plural. 23rd of September, 869 bottles to be outturned 60% on the dot for the ABV.
It smells like charcoal.
Yep. Yeah. Charcoal that's been dosed with seawater.
Yes.
That you accidentally got a little bit of like sea kelp in there as well.
Just a touch of ashtray as well. Wet
Yeah.
ashtray.
Yeah. And the grill was made from oxidized copper.
Wow, this is wild.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of mint in here.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Well, that copper note is just all over the place right now for me.
I can see that. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what this is.
It's like you accidentally like bled from a paper cup into your paper cut, sorry, into your dram.
She getting this one and the last one confused? I'm just kidding.
And
Wow.
just a little bit of barnyard coming through there as long along with shellfish
There's
right now.
also a little bit of varnish paint, like
Yeah,
varnish, oils in there for me.
agreed.
Um, but there's also a meatiness to it.
It is, there is.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice.
Uh, Great. That would have been an amazing name, Graham. Horse Barn Dentist. We're changing the name on this to Horse Barn Dentist. Good call, Graham.
That's awesome.
That would be, can you imagine a veterinarian having that as the name of his practice? That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be good.
Oh, nice palate. Again, that combination of seawater and ash, seaweed as well. Some like creamy fruit notes that are just trying to battle their way to the front.
They are
Yeah.
battling. Tony just got home and he heard your tasting note and he turned around and looked at me like, that's something you guys are drinking and ashtray and seaweed? Like,
Yeah, he doesn't know what he's missing.
yeah, right. Also rub some olive oils on it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, olive oil mixed with just a hint of tiger balm.
Tiger Balm, the fancy stuff, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
It's where you tried to go kinky, but everybody was already sore and had some ointments rubbed on their bodies.
There's a whole array of ointments in the air.
Mhm.
It's kind of floral. It's got this like flowery seaweed to it,
It does.
which is really nice. And there's also, yeah, that meatiness that comes through. I love the sweetness that it has on the finish as
It,
well. It really,
yeah, yeah. It's like
I can do that.
those creamy fruit notes eventually win. Like it's a battle, and they really gotta like muscle and shoulder that are past the peat and past the salt.
And then you get that green note that's kind of been an odd signature throughout this
Yep.
line. You get those like garden stem vegetables, the thyme and
Yep.
parsley
On
and all that
that,
comes through.
yeah, it almost does go into like a rosemary note, with a bit of water on the nose. It's like you're sponging a room.
I mean, this is my idea of smudging, if that's what it
That's
takes.
right. That's
Hey
right.
girl, you want to come over and smudge my house and drink a bottle of Viking toothpaste? Just clear the bad
Yeah.
demons out of here.
Yeah.
Get rid of all that bad
Yeah.
energy.
Not Viking toothpaste, horse barn dentist.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes, of course. I'm writing that down so I don't forget.
Yeah, the nose sticks together pretty well with water, but it does go just a touch more herbaceous. It goes a little bit sort of, there's a warmth that comes out with it, with water, like not heat, but
Grilled. It's more grilled food, less
yeah,
ocean.
that's good call.
More barbecue, less ocean. Seaside, seaweed plank barbecue.
Oh, I like that palette with water.
Is there bacon in here with water? Is that chocolate
Yeah,
covered
maybe a
bacon?
touch. No, I think it's more like bacon wrapped scallops,
Yeah.
stylistically.
Oh, we should make those. That sounds
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good tram.
Water, water is good. I'm gonna write that down.
Yep. Yeah,
Water,
that one takes to water pretty nicely, in my opinion. Still keeps those nice fruity and shellfish notes without going crazy.
it's so
Cool
much
dram,
fruity.
however you cut it, or even if you don't cut it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just gonna scooch that bottle a little closer.
Just
Maybe.
don't let it drop. Yeah. Let's go on to our second of three peated drams of the night, which is Alice through the tasting glass. And you'll notice that when I made the labels here, I did not put tasting glass. I went through for the Alice in Wonderland name there. I just wrote what I saw in my mind's eye, I guess, with that one. But this is
No,
Alice through the tasting glass from a first fill ex bourbon barrel, 15th of January for the distillation date, 288 bottles, a super low ABV by this Outturn standards of 55.8%.
mm, got a stickiness to it, as well
Yeah.
as salt. It's like
Oh,
salted caramel.
the yeah, Derek says he doesn't get the peat on the nose. It's really integrated, and there's some great, like just full on papaya and passion fruit notes in there for me right now.
I see, and I'm all like cherries and creosote.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I can see that. And it does have, just along with those cherries, it's just got a bit of varnish, like going into
Yeah,
turpentine territory.
yeah. Smells amazing.
Yeah.
Those are
Old
very
leather
nice
bound
names.
books. Yeah. Yeah, that is a
Yeah,
nice, nice nose.
it's funny again how Evan and I were talking about our bonus dram being listed under the what was it, the juicy oak and vanilla, and I said, no way, this is coastal and oily.
Yeah.
And then we
Yep.
have the Viking toothpaste under coastal and oily, and in like, how is that not peated? And
Yep.
then this is peated, and I'm finding on just the nose alone that this is more oily and coastal. I
Yep.
haven't tried it yet, but
This is not coastal
that's
to me. Like there is some peat to it. It's not overwhelming.
okay.
It is like weight wise on the palate, it does take over the last dram, but the
Mm,
smoke is a little bit more ethereal for me. Like it's just a smokiness, not a peatiness in the same way.
yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Again, I think nose to
Wow.
palate, there's a lot of similarities. Again, leather bound books and still get that papaya and passion fruit note, but there's this touch of just like it's not going into Thrills gum territory, but there's just a
Mm,
light soapiness to it. Like
yeah,
into like maybe it's like a shaving cream with sandalwood or something like that.
yeah, yeah. I just gave it
Yeah,
to Tony. I was like, you gotta try this. And he's like, yeah,
nice.
that's good.
It's that's a cool dram.
It is really cool. I don't know if I've tried anything quite like this. It's like,
Yeah.
um, I mean, we say that all the time, but it's just not something very familiar.
Well, it's a very
It's very savory.
sense memory driven for me, where it just like it's more of a taking me back to experiences than pulling out individual notes in a lot of ways. Graham Tyler mentions Touch O Beat in the Pete in the basement of the library. I think
Which is
that's yeah, that's almost like a Scotch drinker's version of playing Clue, it sounds like.
yeah, totally. It to me, it's like, okay, so it like when he said that to me, I pictured some kid in like a ripped jean jacket with custom badges like sewn onto it, and he's like a
Yep,
little bit of a pyro hiding out in the library at school, just like
yep,
burning pins and pens and anything he could find
yep,
just to be rebellious.
yep. It was the murderer was Colonel Mustard in the basement of the library with a copper thief was the murder weapon.
There's some nice like umami notes to this too.
Big
Like
time. It almost does go into like an eating a California roll note with a little bit of wasabi and some pickled ginger in there.
yeah, and a little bit of even avocado oiliness.
Oh, good call. Yeah,
Mhm. Very cool. It's very it's salty as well as
yeah.
sweet,
The
which I think
saltiness does come out now.
has a really
Have
nice
you added
balance.
water?
I can't remember, so I'll just do a little more.
Yeah, I don't think I have.
But Tony drank half of it, so that's what
Oh,
I'm
small
diverting.
sips, Tony. Small sips.
Yeah, yeah. I had to use the rest of my dram, so he's like, there was hardly any in there. It's true. These are
Oh,
not
that
meant for sharing, but they are.
yeah. Oh, it's almost like I didn't add water on the nose. Like there's not a huge change in there for me.
Really? I
Yeah.
thought it changed quite a bit.
Okay.
It reminds me a little bit like more floral and
Mm. Like going into
yeah,
like a potpourri territory or
yeah, yeah.
okay.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
definitely
that's a
more
good call.
floral to me.
Actually, and you know what? Now that you say that, mothballs on the nose.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. And
The
again, not in a bad
palette,
way.
the palette, I get like that chocolate note that I didn't get the first time
Mm.
because it was all like
Hmm.
saltiness and savoriness, and now I'm getting some chocolate. Still, it's still salty.
Yep. You're thinking like
Again, it could be coastal and oily.
mhm. Oh, bit of fresh tobacco. Good call, Tyler. Those library books were donated by a smoker. That is really good call.
He had the full collection of the encyclopedias, that's why.
Well,
It
actually, the palate is really good with water. It goes a bit juicier and a little
is.
bit more fruit.
Yeah.
Damn, this is a great lineup.
Hmm. I said to Kurt that this is like a beefy lineup.
Yep.
Like everything is a big, bold scream for attention.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the going back to number one's going to be interesting because it's the only one that's just like I'm just here and I'm delicious kind of dram. Everybody else, every other dram in the lineup is just like, look at me,
Yeah.
trying to get
Yeah.
your attention.
It's
Well,
like your
let's
high school reunion all
yeah,
over.
let's see if number seven is in that high school crowd with Hebridian Hamper. Hebridean Hamper is started its life in an ex-bourbon hogshead. Final cask was a first fill PX hogshead. 234 bottles from the Outturn, 55.3% alcohol, just 0.5% lower than the last ram we had.
So like a salty spam in a can kind of
Oh
vibe.
yeah. It's it's so chalky at the same time. Like this is like you got in trouble with a teacher and your punishment was to smack out the chalkboard brushes outside
Yeah. You know,
and
it
you're
also
yeah.
smells like those pink after dinner mints.
Yeah.
It's like individually wrapped mints.
Yeah. There's like a very steeped tea, like black tea note in there as well.
Yeah. A little Earl Grey for sure.
Grey, but also rooibos tea for me.
Haven't had a lot of that. I really gotta try these teas Jeff gave me, but apparently
Yeah,
they're all very specific and I don't know my
it
water
is.
temperature.
I'm pretty sure he didn't put rooibos in there. He did pure. If you got the same pack I did, it was all black tea.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's all black and he's
rooibos,
like,
yeah, rooibos. He would probably say is not a tea because it's not actually considered a tea leaf. It's a bush that it grows from.
yes, Mike, we're on the Hebridean hamper. I almost said hamster.
Yeah,
Hebridean hamper. We're just nosing about to sip, so
yeah,
you didn't miss a thing.
yeah. A little bit of leather and farminess to it.
Smells so good.
Yeah. It's going into again Benedictine territory for me if you're aware of that cognac liqueur.
I got a little bit of cognac notes on 2 and 3 came
Hmm.
out for me. Ooh, this tastes lovely.
Again, that's not that like the peat is there, but it's not like your big burly Isla where I'm peat and then I've got other stuff going on. Um,
This is like the Isla I know and love who's just like
yeah,
youthful and doesn't care.
yeah. Big menthol energy. I like it, Tyler.
Menthol energy and like crimped hair, like hot iron.
Yeah, yeah. It's crimped hair with fisherman's friends.
Mm-hmm. Because you can still be stylish and have a cold.
The crimped hair is a good call. It almost has the note if you've ever been around well a fire, but we have a natural gas stove at home with an open flame, and if you get too close a bit to it and you have arms like mine, I guess I should go close up on that. You will singe your hair sometimes if you get too close to it, and it does have that singed hair note to it for sure.
Yeah, it does a little bit. Um, I still get those like again, vegetable notes. Like I don't know what it
Yep.
is, but it's like going a little bit.
This is root vegetables. This is like roasted sweet potatoes and carrots and parsnips.
Yes, and it is the time of year for sweet potatoes, so
It
we get
is.
them now. That's how I
Yeah.
knew.
This is
Yeah,
the pre-pumpkin spice dram.
you lost me. May have had one once because my coworker was like obsessed with it and she brought it for me. She's like, I brought this for you. Took a sip. I'm like, no. Pumpkin belongs in a pie. That's the only time I
That's
want
right.
it.
That's right. Not in my Starbucks coffee.
I just, I mean, for the cost, I could buy
Uh,
2 or 3 tins of pumpkins. So.
Mike B is questioning his senses,
No.
but he says both 6 and 7 seem lightly peated at most,
Yep,
more than peated to me. I would agree. Like
I
the
agree.
peat here is on number 7 for me. It's like a deeper, earthier peat than the last two drams, but it's
Yep.
still it's not just a big burly peated whiskey. Like there's other stuff going on to counter the peat, and that actually takes over the peat in a lot of cases.
Yeah. It's like it reminds me of like my family reunions camping,
Mhm.
where it's the end of the night, we're gonna watch some sort of late night movie projected onto somebody's trailer or some sheet, and
Mhm.
everybody's wrapped in blankets and everybody's got different drinks going, hot chocolate, cocktails, beers, and you're just like over inundated with like blankets and slippers and flannel
Yep.
by the
And
fire.
then someone has decided they're not just doing desserts and sweets, and they've decided they're gonna smoke that, like cook that last bratwurst over the
Yeah,
fire.
they're gonna reheat dinner. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. It
absolutely.
it does have like a bratwurst smoky or into even like a grilling a Ukrainian sausage note to it.
Very cool. I'm picturing my uh, Grandpa Claude's brisket on the fire,
Mhm.
which we have raffled off before the last two
Nice.
pieces. Because that's how we solve problems in my family. We raffle off
Nice.
food that we already paid for.
Um, have you tried this one with water?
No, I will.
I just added some just for kicks. Goes a little
Mm,
bit mustier with water.
mhm.
This is like the wood paneling behind you or at the petroleum club.
Yeah. It's also got a cheesiness to it
Mhm.
as well with water, like a cheddar note, smoked cheddar.
Yeah, yeah, good call.
Oh, and there it is. It's your smoky sausage note,
Yeah,
coming through. It's like all
it does come
smokies
out
with the
more. Yeah.
meat and peppers and seasoning with the cheese like built in, and you're cooking it
Hmm.
on a fire. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is no
man,
barbecue sausage.
that's I can't remember an outturn where every single dram like did all right with water. Like
Yeah.
especially for having so many secondary casks in here, which to me it kills more whiskey when you add water to it than sherry casks or wine casks do. Just a secondary cask a lot of the time. It just water can just tear it all apart. But everything stays together so nicely in here. There's still some drams where I think it's better without, but the drams, every single dram does not fall apart at all with water,
Yep.
which is impressive.
I think that
Wow.
that's wonderful because for
Yeah.
two reasons. A, you can drink these any day of the week, no matter the strength. I mean,
Hmm.
I try to be responsible and hydrate, and not drink heavily cast things early in the week, but I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty much all I have. It's nice to bring it down from time to time. It's nice to
Absolutely.
goof off while you're doing whatever you're doing and play with some water. It's also
Well,
nice to have bottles in your cabinet that you can share with your friend who's scared of everything you pour
that's
them
right.
and
And
have.
and just to back up harmony here, like we are trained professionals. Like what we are doing is not goofing off. This is research.
Right.
Whenever we're trying something. So
Yeah, yeah. Blah, blah, blah. We don't do tastings on a Monday, blah, blah. But Monday drams.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
No, these
Well,
are wonderful.
I'm really excited to do the reveal on this. That was a fun lineup. Mike B asks, KWM had training. It's on the job training.
It's on the
To be
job.
perfectly
Yeah.
serious, you know.
Yeah, on the job and at home and sometimes away
That's right.
from home. You have to sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, believe
Yeah.
it or not, while Harmony and I are at home, this is still work, again in quotes.
Grueling, grueling work.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know how we do it, honestly.
Yeah. My doctor doesn't know.
Yeah,
He's not a horse dentist.
yeah, yeah. When your doctor says you have a problem, it's like, no, I have a profession.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I had to take a photo of where my bottles were before we went into round two because
Nice.
full disclosure, guys, I'm a natural blonde. and I forget things. So I'm ready though. I'm ready for round two.
Sounds
Topped
good.
up my drams. I've made favorite opinions as we've gone through.
Yeah, I'm quickly turning into a natural gray hair. So I don't have the blonde thing where I blame it on that. I just blame it on other people when something goes wrong.
Idiots.
Yeah,
Before we start our second, like our reveal, I just
yeah,
wanted to put out there, we do have a few of the SMWS membership packs available if you haven't
yeah, good
scooped
call.
yours up, and it tops off your membership a little bit, adds some value to your current membership. Thinking about Christmas and gifts for your hosts, for people who are going to have you over the holiday, it's a wonderful gesture. And if you have purchased a membership pack, come get it. We would love you to take it home because
Yeah,
they're big.
they're a little bit big and bulky.
They're a little bit big and they're everywhere. And Chris and Terry would love you to come. She'd love to see you. She'd
Yeah,
love to see you, is what
yeah.
I'm getting at.
Might be Chris and Terry, thank you for picking yours up today. They do truly appreciate it.
Gold star might be.
Yeah. Okay, well let's go back and try Fresh, Bright, and Charming once more for the reveal.
Ooh, it's like more vanilla than it was the first time. And it has like a really pretty floral note, like a white flower of some
Yeah.
sort. But it smells like breakfast, like maple
It
syrup
smells like
pancakes.
breakfast. It also almost noses like an Irish cream.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was
Yeah,
gonna
it's
say,
like chocolatey and white chocolate, and there's just like you've just added just the smallest uh dropper drop of creme de menthe to it.
yeah,
Oh, the palate's cool though. It's just bursting with fruit, even after the three peated drams we've had.
that cream cheese note is still there for me. That
Hmm.
honey and lemon is still there for me. There's a little bit of like a dandelion green
Oh, nice
that
call.
comes through on my palate, like even the dandelion milk a little bit.
Hmm.
But it does lean a little bit further into those tea tannins, while still feeling very bright. And then you get those like tropical stone fruits on the back end, on the finish, which is really lovely.
Nice. Well, since we're in the chat, before we go on, Matt Benson says, if I buy an SMWS Met pack as a gift for a friend, does that mean they get a year membership? Yes, they do. If you buy it for yourself, you get I think it's 40 bucks off.
$40,
Yeah,
$40 credit
your
towards your
membership
membership.
renewal.
Yeah.
But you can gift it to a person for them to get a membership for the year. So theoretically, Matt, if you were to had a friend named Bat
Harmony?
Menson,
Oh.
yeah, Harmony maybe, but Bat
Mhm.
Menson, that shares the same phone number, lives at the same address, but has a different email address. Well, I'm sure Kelly Carpenter would actually catch on to that, but you
Yeah, I
might
think
get
so
it
she
past us
would.
at Kensington Wine Market. Yeah,
I thought Matt was like,
yeah.
Harmony's birthday is in 9 days. This could be the thing for her. She doesn't have one.
Yeah,
And she would really love to like clutter up her 600
yeah.
square foot apartment with more
That's
with
right. Yeah. Harmony
decor.
has lots of 700 and 750 milliliter bottles, but not a lot of 100 milliliter bottles.
Yeah, I don't. I have very few. Um, Back to the whiskey.
Yeah. Let's do this reveal. So, for this whiskey, fresh, bright, and charming. Really good price on this one. This is an 11-year-old from the 30th of May 2012, from Speyside, house number 73.162. Price is $149. So this is distillery number 73 is Altmore, if I remember off the top of my head. One of the distilleries that's owned by Bacardi / Dewar's, part of the last Great Malts of Scotland, or the Great Malts of Scotland branding that they have, along with Craig Ellicky, Aberfeldy, Altmore, and Macduff / Deveron. Am I missing one in there? I think there's a fifth, but I'm probably wrong. So a lot of what Altmore creates, they do their own official bottlings at 12 and 18 years old. But a lot of what Altmore produces goes into blends such as Dewar's. And then we do see some independent bottlings of Altmore like this one from time to time. But this is a pretty cool dram, in my opinion.
It's very lovely. Don't read the chats, Evan.
Yeah, there's just a nice freshness to that one.
There's like a hint, I don't know, it's got a clean house smell / taste. It's like when it goes on my palate, it reminds me of clean house, like nobody touched anything, it's been cleaned, and then you get
You know what it is? It's not like a pledge scent, but it's almost like your base original Febreze scent to it.
Yeah. Even just like this scented, that's just it. It's the basic Febreze. Like what is that? Like fresh air smell?
Yeah.
That's
Good
it.
stuff.
And then you get like a bunch of fruit.
Yep. Okay, on to number 2. Back to Muscat gravy. Oh, feel that fuzzy peach note now.
I am feeling it. Yeah. It's this is very nice. See, this one to me was giving me the cognac notes originally. Yeah.
This is barrel-aged fuzzy peaches, is what it is.
Those got to be more than 5 cents.
That's right. Well, yeah. I mean, the angel share on fuzzy peach barrels it's a nightmare.
Yeah. It's really not worth doing, I'm sure.
Just a whole bunch of warehouse workers that have just gone diabetic for some reason over the last.
Shouldn't laugh. It's an epidemic.
Yeah, especially in those fuzzy peach warehouses.
That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly it. I'm
It
getting
even
more
goes
cinnamon.
into this cinnamon's a good note. That herbaceous note, it did have a bit of one on the first time through, but it's gone into like a really nice like floral honeysuckle note on the nose.
Yep.
Still a bit of pea shoots there.
It's a touch of Fisherman's Friends with that's dried ginger that my mom makes me, the candied ginger. It's like honey sweet ginger.
There is a bit of that honeysuckle mixed with a lychee note on the palate, something like fruity and floral.
Lychee's a good note.
Yeah.
There's also like this, I'm still getting that like fresh herb note a little bit, like your vegetables. Not a tomato stem. I think, what did you say before?
Pea shoots was the big one for me.
Pea shoots,
and
and a little bit of
on
like,
the palate, chewing parsley. Graham says old suitcase. I can see that in there too. Oh, that's holding up together. That it's just a really nice dram. Okay, for sharing this one.
I didn't write down my tasting note. Is this the one I said smelled like my dad's briefcase, or the next one? It's in here. My dad used to bring a briefcase to
orange.
church. Yeah. It's probably the next one.
Okay, so this is, I guess I got to scroll up here. Scotch Malt Whiskey Society 128.22. This is a 22nd cask from Pendrin Distillery in Wales. it spent 3 years in an ex-bourbon barrel before it was transferred to a first fill MUSCAT of Sechabal Barrique. Comes in at 59.9% alcohol, distilled on the 14th of May 2015. Only 6 years old, but seeming like a very, very mature 6-year-old.
I
Uh,
agree. Again,
much like my youngest son wants to be, but will fail to be. But he's too fun to be mature, I would say, at this age.
oh God,
But
don't let him lose that. Like,
yeah,
instill
absolutely.
that. Maturing is no fun.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. He's mature all the way up until he remembers that farts are funny. Like
They
many
are
of us are.
not funny.
Yeah, yeah,
Not. As someone who's been training their senses for the last 15 years, I can tell you they are not funny. Uh, Jeremy, the distillery is Penderyn from Wales.
yes. Thank you,
6 years
Harmony, for
old.
that.
Um, Distilled on the 14th of May, 2023. And then if you're filling out your
Yep.
pamphlet here, matured
2015, sorry.
oh,
2015 for the
15.
distillation date. Yep.
I have a farce handout, which I never read until the second round. But there's a gap at the bottom, matured for 3 years in a bourbon barrel before being transferred to the first
Yep.
fill Muscat from Setubal Barrique. Very lovely. I've pulled this one very close, even before
Yep.
I knew it was.
So I wouldn't have picked this up from the whiskey itself, but this is, and it's not a sister cask, but the last bottling we saw from distillery number 128 from the Scotch Malt Whisky Society was a very, very popular bottling called Millions of Peaches. It was I think that was ex-bourbon, and that was one of the it does what it says on the tin drams, where it was just peaches everywhere. It had a full-on fuzzy peach note on the nose and palate. There is a little bit of that on this one, but I really like what that secondary cask does to this guy. I think it just adds another level of complexity, and like a very complex dram for a 6-year-old. It's
Mhm.
a really, really impressive whiskey. And
Yeah,
not a bad price at 178 on that one.
no, that's not bad. Was Pretty Wacky also from this distillery?
Yeah, that was the precursor to Millions of Peaches, and it had some fuzzy peach notes as well.
I loved that one. I loved it a lot.
Mhm. Okay, back to a forage into orange. Harmony said that some of you might recognize this dram. I believe you had mentioned that on the
Yeah, it
first
had a
round.
familiar name.
Yeah. So this dram, this is actually for some of you, if you did a Craig Ellicky virtual tasting earlier in the year, this might be familiar to you. We did put this in a Craig Ellicky tasting that also included our whiskey sponge Craig Ellicky with Andrew in a worm tub with his dog Walter. On the label on that one, this is a Craig Ellicky again. Cask number is 44.180 on this guy, and it gets the extra special copper and black livery that the society uses for their older bottlings.
What
And so
determines
that,
in the older bottling? Is 18 the minimum, or is there
I don't know. I think we've
profile
seen
that you
as young
hit?
as 14, but that was a Macallan, if I
Right.
remember correctly.
Which is interesting because we've also had 18 and 19-year-olds in white labels. So I'm just curious at
Mhm.
what determines the the black label.
It's a really good question. I think they would say when they're going for that, it's the style that the whiskey gives
Mhm.
in a lot of cases. Definitely open to interpretation, like a lot of society stuff when it comes to the color choice and the tasting notes. But
Mhm.
this one is what it is. It's 44.180. It is 18 years old, spent 15 years in an ex-bourbon cask before being moved to a new oak hogshead with a heavy number 4 char from the 31st of May 2005. It is on the steeper side price wise at $298.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I'm good, Dram.
lovely. That is
Yep.
just a really, I mean, I'm not surprised. It's got that beautiful black label. It's a very beautiful whiskey.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's just I love that orange note. It's kind of leaning um into that old fashioned, but it's
Hmm.
got like beautiful orange candy and like coffee and um oiliness that I'm really liking.
Hmm. Mike says how much they charge is the determining factor. No comment on that one, Mike. Uh, Tyler says I didn't get much Craig Ellicky fingerprint on this one. Maybe the char was too much for it. I think that putting it into essentially
Yeah.
what is a cask that you mature bourbon in definitely sort of countered a lot of that Craig Ellicky meatiness.
Yeah, Derek's gonna need the link. We have a fan.
Hmm.
Yeah, and with water still on this second pass, it's very lovely.
Yeah.
I'm really liking that like spice, tobacco, black pepper,
Yeah.
and all around oranges.
Yeah, it still does have that dark chocolate, Terry's chocolate orange note and a little bit of flaming Grand Marnier in there for me.
Yeah, and it's like a mandarin orange, like those little guys that you get from me. That's what's coming through on this.
Mike B says adding water to that one should be a crime.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I'm paid to experiment,
I
so
know.
it's for science.
Yeah, we are criminals, if nothing else, at KW. We hire based on the length of your rap sheet. On to number 4, Musty Mulchy.
Eight.
Mike says the training program at KWM might need some work. Oh, yeah, I guess I won't disagree with you. Our method of work and everything from the top down, at which is Andrew and below, is a little bit chaotic.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh. And that
yeah.
just reminded me of Rachel. We need a training manual. We'll figure it out. Everybody does it
Hey,
different.
yeah, that training manual does exist. It's just been in beta for the last 4 years. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. She
Yeah,
came back after Matt leave and she's like, did this not move the entire time? I'm like, I haven't touched it.
yeah, we've been waiting for you.
Yeah, we're waiting for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. On to Musty Mulchy.
All right, Evan. So
Oh,
this distillery, Andrew often says, has a certain bloody DNA,
yeah. On
which
the Macbeth collection kind of
on the Macbeth collection, as well
knows.
as our berries bottle
Yeah.
and other bottlings.
Hmm.
None of those characteristics were printed on this handout or brought up during the chat,
Yeah.
but were brought up in this next whiskey. And I thought that's why I wondered if your glasses were confused. However,
Yeah.
this is lovely.
Oh, it's gorgeous. And I did add water on the first time round. It's nosing so prettily right now.
Yeah, it's very lovely. It's I love this. I don't know, oily, nutty, stone fruits,
Yeah.
like mangoes and apricots, and then there's still like that where those where's the nut I like.
Oh, uh, Marcona almonds.
I'm writing that down. The
Yeah.
almond note is still there. There's like a
Yeah.
syrupiness to it.
It does still have that. Did I say no? I said orange pico tea on the Forge into orange, but this one has a bit of it too. The orange seems to be, and that green note that you mentioned seems to be sort of like an overarching theme for a lot of the whiskeys here.
It is. I don't know if it's the fall theme, but
Hmm.
even at like I walked Gabby through the
Oh,
community park in the not, I mean, in the total off leash dog park side. And we go through the community garden. And even though it's been colder in the morning and a little bit frostier, it's such a fragrant place right now. That
Mhm.
garden, there's like green vines and tomatoes dying on the vines. We still get your
Nice.
squashes and your little pumpkins are trying. Flowers are still surviving, and it reminds me of these like cool morning walks.
Nice.
Yeah.
So here's my screen for Musty Mulchy. This is Scotch Malt Whiskey Society 68.105. That is 60, distillery number 68 is Blair Athol Distillery, which in the Macbeth collection series that we have, it is character-wise, it takes the place of Bloody Sergeant or the Bloody Sergeant for the whiskey. And Andrew does say that this one tends to have this very sort of like almost coppery blood-driven style to it, distillery-wise. This guy is 15 years old, spent 12 years in an ex-bourbon hogshead before being transferred to a first fill Oloroso hogshead. Really nice work with the Oloroso hogshead on this one, in my opinion. This guy is $218.99.
Finish to me is going into that like mulchy after the rain, but like
Yeah,
it's still raining.
yeah.
And this is a memory that has just come to me from smelling it. I used to know that worms died during the rain because you'd see them dead on the
Hmm.
sidewalk in the morning. So one time I decided I would save the worms from the rain. And I
Hmm.
went out and I collected hundreds of worms from the cul-de-sac and around and filled this little red tin wagon with worms. And the worms clogged the drain holes. There were so many. And when I came out in the morning, it was just like worms soup, and they were all dead. And
Oh
I
man,
didn't
that's
save a single one. But that's what this reminded me of, is like my wet wagon. Sad dead worms.
yeah, yeah. Your best laid plans led to a tiny bout of genocide. It sounds like.
Yeah, it was awful. And I literally was like, how do I get rid of these worms without everybody knowing that I just like took out all of the worms in Minapore? Like Minapore has no more worm population because they're dead in my backyard. I think I hid them in my mom's compost.
I mean, that would work.
It, I'm sure it did. I remember, yes, it was trauma. I'll never forget that. It's
Yeah,
the beginning of cynical me.
yeah. Did you have to like sell off the red wagon just to like get rid of the evidence or
Yeah, no, I just was like, Cole, take your wagon back. I'm done with this.
it's dead to me, just like the
tie
worms.
it, tie it to the back of your bike and move on. Yeah.
Man, it's hard to pick a favorite in this lineup. Let's go on to Viking toothpaste.
Mm. It's got more minty smell this time.
Yeah,
Quite a bit of menthol, actually. Like Vicks Vapor Rub. It's like right in your sinuses.
it's and I'm not a fan of this, but I'm going in a different direction. This is the mint chocolate Girl Guide cookies.
Sorry for the noise.
It's okay.
Gabby has discovered her bones.
There's so much like you like a fresh not bit into after eight mint on this one. Tyler says Worm Tub Trauma would be a good bottle name. Great band name too.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
We should just like rewrite the lyrics on some songs and go karaoke my trauma away. Bix is on point. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Nice. There's just this underlying like you mashed a donut into kibble. like just a glazed donut and just a little bit of dried dog food with it.
Dry dog food again, hey? Do
Mhm.
you want to talk about your childhood traumas, Evan? This is two dog food notes in 2 days.
Full disclosure, I've always been allergic to dogs. Uh, my
I was gonna
grandparents had a
say
dog,
dog
and
food.
before, yeah, I'm getting there. Um, but I did, as a toddler in diapers, apparently I was a thief and stole milk-bone dog biscuits to eat from my grandparents' dog named Spatsy. Uh, I don't remember this, except there's probably a photo of it somewhere that makes me think I have a memory of it.
Right.
But I swear I still have that smell and that taste as a sense memory.
I'm sure you do, because
Yeah,
that's when memories are forged. There's a ton of potpourri on this for me. It's quite
it is
floral,
going
getting
creamy and
behind all that
floral. Yeah,
menthol. It still has this nice kind of coastal, grungy, wet wood
yeah.
kind of, your wet, I don't know,
Grunge is
burlap.
a good term, and if there was a grunge capital, whiskey capital of Scotland, this would be it. Because this, pardon me, does come from Campbelltown. What are we on? This is dram number 5. There is your link. Let's share the link as well. So this is Viking toothpaste is from distillery number 93. It's a distillery number 93 rare release. So it is from a batch, doesn't get its own individual number. Distillery number 3 is 93, pardon me, is my favorite distillery in Campbelltown, which is Glen Scotia. I
Mm,
love Glen Scotia. Uh,
yeah,
Distillery wise, official balling wise, they are knocking it out of the park. They have been for the last 5 years.
yeah,
Um, I used to call this sort of like the unheralded underdog of Campbelltown. Still might be just because everybody
I
goes
think
for
so.
Springbank, but their official bottlings are knockout. And so is this bottling from the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. This was done for the 2024 Campbelltown Whiskey Festival. It's 9 years old, all from ex bourbon barrels, first fill. And it is everything that's good about Glen Scotia nutshell in a nutshell. It doesn't go super tropical like some of the older bottlings do, but that creamy peat note and that rustic style with the saltiness is just fantastic.
Yeah, this is really nice.
Yeah. Good price at 158 too.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if you're gonna get a better deal from a horse barn dentist than that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that horse barn dentist would cost you a lot more, especially if
But
he has to pull some teeth or add some fillings.
but you have a membership, so thank God.
That's right.
Right, yummy. Um,
Okay.
I was through the tasting glass is
Mhm. Do you have any left?
yeah, I have a little bit.
That like leather bound library note is just all over the place on this one.
It is, yeah.
Old leather bound book in a leather bound chair. You're sitting and reading in your smoking jacket, and you've got like a crazy black tea steeping next to you. Pipe tobacco in the cigar in the pipe.
And I just wrote it's like a leather bound suitcase full of old magazines.
Nice. Oh, that yeah. National Geographics or Popular Mechanics? Which one?
Probably Popular Mechanics.
Yeah.
It's what I'm picturing. I'll quote that in my notes.
Nice. Yeah, it's the Grease Jockey magazine, not I'm
Oh
exploring
yeah.
the world from home and
No, it's
uh
like it's definitely hardier than the
yeah,
National Geographic.
yeah. Yeah, it's not I collect these because I secretly look at all the naked women in it kind of thing.
Yes. I think that's how it all starts. Like, these villagers don't wear any shirts. Their
That's right.
necklaces are very decorative.
Okay, so
Yeah,
for this one, this is, I think it's the third cast that we've seen from this distillery.
I think so.
And it's a pretty cool distillery because it comes from a place that is famous for one single distillery, which is Cavalan. Uh,
Mhm.
but this is not Cavalan. This is a 6-year-old whiskey from Taiwan, 55% alcohol, matured entirely in a first fill ex bourbon barrel. But this is the other big distillery in Taiwan, which is Nantou. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's Nantou to spell that. And Nantou Distillery is government operated, if I remember correctly. It's not a privately run distillery like the King Carr / Cavalan Distillery is, but is quietly, we do see some official bottlings from them, but they're pretty sporadic, but quietly doing some top-notch whiskey, just like Cavalan does, but shouts it from the rooftops more than Nantou does. So this is a peated style. The last one we saw was unpeated. This guy is $214, 138.8. Last bottling we had, I think was it June for Nantou? Let's see.
May
Thank
2023.
you. So yeah, we had the last peated Nantou we had was Fancy Meeting You here. But we more recently had Panel Piggy's Paradise, which was 138.23, which
Oh,
was
I think we
unpeated.
have a couple bottles of that left
We
still, but
do.
if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken, this is a sister cask to
Fancy
the
Meeting You here.
fancy meeting you here, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
Not as meaty and not as dry on
yes.
the palate that I recall. I think I prefer this one to Fancy Meeting You here, but yeah, this is
I
a gorgeous
agree.
dram.
I think this is just showing more depth than the fancy meeting you here, which was a lot of, if I remember, like teriyaki, kind of hoisin kind of savory side of things.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Mike B says, I'd vote for a government that makes whiskey. Cannot disagree with you there. I think that's a good call.
Right.
Okay, last but not least, let's go back to Hebridean Hamper. So while we're tasting it, before we do the reveal, this is the Giving Spirit bottle for the quarter from the Scotch Malt Whisky Society of Canada, Robin Kelly Carpenter, the SMWS Canada. They are donating the profits from all sales of this bottle to our Whiskey Foundation, which is the best thing that has happened because of the Whiskey Bible, in my opinion.
Tell us more.
Yeah. So our Whiskey Foundation is a female-run and female-led foundation that supports and tries to what's the word I'm looking for? Help women and around the world get into the whiskey industry, especially specifically within Scotland, whether it's writing, whether it's working in distilleries, whether it's working in the trade or what have you. And it essentially came out of this big controversy that happened around Jim Murray finally being outed for being well, a misogynist pig, essentially, is what everybody claims he is. Um, so whether you agree with the Whiskey Bible or not, it was at least helpful for founding this and gathering support for women in the whiskey industry. Our Whiskey Foundation does a lot of mentoring. It gets younger people that are getting into the whiskey industry a mentor on of someone that has been in it for a long time. I know the master distiller from Glen Scotia is big and involved in it, and I think Rachel Berry has done a lot of work with them as well. So a cool program.
I
But
kind
back
of
to the
find,
whiskey itself.
I was gonna say, I kind of find that a little bit shocking considering the actual history of whiskey having so many female
Yeah,
components.
it's
Yes,
true.
well, yes,
Yep.
they had male spokespersons and men that traveled promoting, but that's like women were at home with the kids. That's just the
Mhm.
way it was. They were still there making the whiskey. So I applaud the effort. I just the foundation, I just also think it's kind of like give your head a shake, crazy, ironic that we're still dealing with these gender norms in an
Oh,
industry that was birthed often by women. So
well, and unfortunately, I mean, it's universal even now is
yeah.
that like uh and let me get on my soapbox as a 40-year-old white male and talk about how hard women have it. Um, Definitely not talking from personal experience here, but it's anytime you see in these groups sort of founded on promoting and helping people like, sort of come up in an industry that is tends to be male dominated. It's a good thing, in my opinion.
It is. It is a good thing.
Mhm. Back to Hebridian Hamper. Share this link. Remind me to post the link after this. So this is Kalila, and this is one of the least Kalilas that I can remember having recently from
Mhm.
the SMWS. That could just be me. I
No, it
don't think
doesn't
I could
have
have
that.
blinded it.
It
Yeah.
doesn't have that for me, that lemon coastal note.
Yeah, big time.
Lemon
It's
oyster.
completely missing it. So this is 15 years old, spent 11 years in an ex-bourbon hogshead before transfer to a first fill PX hogshead. Could be the PX is, pardon me, masking some of that coastal and citric note that Kalila tends to get at a young age.
Yeah, it's on the palate now,
Hmm.
but it's not on the nose. And usually that's where I find that lemon sticks out. But it's
Yeah,
very much PX dominated.
it yeah, it's true because there's been lots of really good Kalilas, and I mean that's kind of has anybody hands up if you've ever had a really bad Kalila? I don't think they really exist. Honestly, they just tend to do well with whatever cask you put it into.
Yeah.
But there were a slew of Kalilas that we've gotten over the last 3 or 4 years that were ex-bourbon Kalilas at 9 to 12 years of age that were just they nosed like a mezcal margarita, where it was like citric and smoky and salty and they were great. 201. But this one goes in a different direction, but is a lot of fun as well. The Hebridian Hamper, $275 for this guy. Here is the link. Um, yeah, I really like this one doesn't show as your typical Kalila though.
Yeah, it's nice. I think that's why we're here. We want to try things
That's
that
right.
we know and love in a signature style that we can like pat ourselves on the back for picking out in a lineup. But we also want to try the things we know and love in a new way. And I think this
Hmm.
cask shows that wonderfully.
Yeah. So the three key words I think for this lineup, we talked about orange and green for
Mhm,
colors, oranges for
mhm.
fruit and green for the herbaceousness. And then leather, I'm going to toss in there just because,
Turned brown.
yeah, every
Yeah.
single dram seems to be leathery in this one except for the first.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah. Which I'm going to refer to as the Disney dram in this lineup because
nice.
just compared to it's just very more animated and
Yeah,
vibrant as it says.
yeah. This
I
is
like
the sort of like it's like watching Up, where like everything's all bright and you get the super fun opening, and then you realize the old man's wife died, and it's just like, oh shit,
I
now it's
just
real.
watched I watched that 2 weeks ago. It was good.
Yeah. Harmony. You want to point out any favorites in the lineup for you?
Well, my bottles have shifted a lot
Nice.
over this tasting, and I have three standouts for me. the Muscat gravy, the musty mulch, and the Hebridean hamper are all scooched in.
Nice.
But everything has moved forward from my first picture
Nice.
to now.
Yeah. It's a horse race more than yeah.
Yeah, it's a, what is it? First barn dentist race. Yeah,
That's right. It's a horse barn dentist race when it comes down to it.
it really
Mike
is. What
Beast, a
about
great
you?
lineup. Uh, it is a toughie. This is a fun lineup. Uh, for just pure, like naked, unadulterated dram, no cast finish to it, and just delicious. I'm gonna
Mhm.
go with number one, Fresh, Bright, and Charming as my
Yeah,
number three. Just a great dram that you could have at any time. It holds up to everything after the lineup. You go through the lineup, which is really impressive. I will pick. Ooh, this is tough. My number two is Muscat Gravy. Again, really enjoyed that one. It's showing incredibly well, even after being in the glass for so long. And my first favorite is Viking toothpaste.
yeah,
I love me some Glen Scotia, and that is what I like about out of young Glen Scotia. So I'm taking that one.
yeah. It's
Honorable
good.
mentions to every single other dram in the lineup. That Nan 2 was fantastic. The Kalila, it was fun to see and without being like full on Kalila. The Craig Gillicky was great as well. So very cool lineup.
It's very good.
Nice.
And even the
For
bonus
those,
dram I liked.
yeah, the bonus
Just to
dram,
throw in a special mention to bonus dram.
good
It's a
call.
little bit more dry and austere than what we've tried tonight, but the tasty morsel is lovely. And Jeremy, to answer your question, it's an Ardnamurchan, um,
Yes.
and a different expression than what we see from the core bottle range, which is really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For those of you that are looking to order, everything is live on the website. Now there is the link for everything. If you want to click on that before we close up. Thank you all for joining us on this tasting. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as I did and as much as Harmony did. And hopefully we'll see you at another tasting soon. Thank you
Yeah.
guys. Thank you, Harmony, as well.
Thank you, Evan. Have a good night, everyone.
Take care, guys.
Bye.